Welcome back to another Album Book Club EP review. Today we are taking a look at Death is an Open Door, an EP by Oceandvst. This was sent in by Oceandvst for us to listen to.
Heck
Ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right. That was track 1, My Last Day on Earth. What do we think?
I'll give it like a 6.5.
That's exactly where I was thinking.
I think it's a little longer than it should be for what it was. I think you could probably shave off about 15 seconds and get the same point across. And then, yeah, there's just a lot of mixing things that I personally don't agree with. I think vocals are just way too loud. They are on top of in front of the mix instead of with the rest of the band, and that's just a little jarring. And then there's hardly any mids in the song comparatively. Now that's not saying there's not mids in the song. It's just there's a lot of highs, and then low end is the immediate next like noticeable sound. So just a couple more mids could be pumped in, and then crank back on some of the volume.
Yeah, I think as a song it's pretty solid, but you're right, there's some mixing things. And I had listened to this in other headphones and like in the car speakers before this review, and none of them did what these did to it. Mm-hmm. This was wild. And these sounded almost like airy, because I don't want to say hollow, because I've heard hollow in these and it wasn't quite that. It's
just spacious is like the most. Mm-hmm. Everything seems very far apart instead of tight. Like it seems like you need a compressor on it ultimately.
Yeah, and I think that would fix most of it's just mixing issues with the vocals that I had with it. I think the mix on the rest of it was fine. It just seemed weird compared to the wild mix on the vocals.
Yeah, I think the guitar may be a touch too dirty, but I'm not sure if that's just a matter of it's up too loud, or if they either need a gate or just, a half crank less on the distortion, or maybe go from 10 to 9 on the volume on the guitar. Mm-hmm. Easy stuff like that. Nothing worth writing home about. Just all right. Next track. A way different mix.
Noticeably quieter than the last song. All right. That was track 2, No Way Out, featuring Kin Beneath the Chorus.
That's like a 6.75.
I'll give it a 7.
I think the mix is overall better, but still not quite right. Instead of truly fixing everything, we just kind of threw a compressor on, and that's all that happened. It's very quiet now.
Mm-hmm. I don't even think it was just like the vocal mix was definitely quieter, but I think the whole master was quieter. I had to turn the headphones up like quite a bit to match the sound.
Oh yeah, that's why I think they just threw a compressor on the master. It probably just killed the volume.
I'll say there was something on the vocals, because it wasn't that airy, spacey sound. It was kind of just compressed. So maybe, I'm scared to say this, but less compression.
Yeah. And then I think overall this song they had a different energy in the last track that I feel, although this one was faster, was missing that vibe. It feels like they had a little less fun recording this one. And I think you can feel that. But still a good track. Still ultimately a pretty fine, good song.
I think good chorus. I don't super remember the verses, but I think the chorus is definitely the standout part of this, which I'm guessing that's what they got the feature for. So
there's some also like real nice guttural vocals on there that were, I presume, the feature, but I could very well be wrong about that.
Moving on.
Track.
All right, that was track 3, Ghost. What do we think?
Yeah, I'll give that like a 7.
I think I'm gonna go 6.75.
I think ultimately overall as a song, I preferred it to the last one. I think it had a lot better just pacing within itself. There were just some things I didn't love, again, with the mix. I think whatever they've done to the overall master from the first song is taken a lot of the band energy out of it. And this feels like a lot of like a studio track. And that's, you know, the name of finding your footing and being like kind of smaller. It's just what happens. But it's pretty fine. The guitar solo in there, yeah, like you were saying, should probably be turned up a little bit. Vocals got a little loud at the end. Although I did like whatever effects they had on the vocals. I thought those were probably the best we've heard up until this point. So,
yep. Vocal mix and vocal effects, for the most part, are the best on this track so far. 100%. The guitar solo was like here, and then when they brought the vocals back, they brought them back at like here before mellowing out to like a normal volume. And I don't understand that at all. I think it was just an overcorrection, or whatever headphones they mixed it in, the guitar sounded way louder than it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have liked to have heard that guitar solo. But overall, solid track. Moving on. All right. That was track 4, Remedy. What do we think?
Give that one a 6.75 again.
I'm going to go back up to 7.
You're just going to keep flip-flopping here.
Yep.
It's doing things I don't like again. One, we're in falsetto at the beginning of the song, and I think Benson Boone ruined it. Everyone can blame that guy. Falsetto is just shot in my brain anymore. But mostly it was just the mix. Because they tried to thicken it up, which is what you're supposed to do. But they were still missing the mids, and that was just a big hurting to the vocals, not having any of that kind of next layer there to help thicken them up. But overall, as a song, I think it was fine. It's where it would go as far as pacing or flow, whatever we want to call it these days, and it's not like it overstayed its welcome. It's just the same mix problems we've been having.
I mostly agree with that, but I do slightly disagree with it. It's the same vocal mix as track 1, but either the rest of the track is louder or mixed closer to the vocals, so it functions, I don't want to say better as a song, but better as a mix, I think. Enough for me to notice and point it out, at least.
I think ultimately this has so far been a great showcase of actual like talent and musicianship, and really just like I guess going through the same struggles that literally everyone else has gone through, and trying to find the right mix and the right sound for you. Because what these are seemingly bases for other mixes, right? These are just other genre styles that maybe aren't fitting to particularly the sound of this band. We got a little bit of kind of like an alternative-y mix in this last one. We've had just some classic rock mix thrown in there, which, funny enough, you should almost never copy a classic rock mix because the amount of cocaine they did blew out their mids, so they were either cranked or they knew their ears were blown out, so they underdid the mids because they thought they did it too much. And then we've had a kind of similar to a modern metal mix in here. It was just, a little bit screwy, but that's personality.
Yeah, I think I would have saved it if we did a overall, but this seems, when I see a small band put out an EP, to me that's like an ad for a live show.
Oh yeah.
And I think this does a good job at that.
For sure. I would go see Oceandvst in person and at a show.
If they were playing anywhere on this side of the earth.
Yeah, I hate that there's a giant thing called an ocean. All right, we ready to go to the last track?
Last track.
I can't explain it, but this is their sound. They nailed it with this one.
Yeah.
Vocally, this is where she's the most comfortable.
Yep. I think this one, mix-wise, is just the closest to what it should be.
Mm-hmm. It just needs a little mid bump.
It's still missing some mids, but
The guitars are also a little quiet, but I think
that's on
I
purpose.
kind of prefer that. Yeah,
I think that's on purpose for this style. I probably would have gone a second less on the squeal, but
actually I would have gone longer, but like
Really?
5 seconds. But like
at
had
a,
it sound
at a
like
show, yes. In the recording, maybe not.
hell no. Have it sound like you threw your guitar on the ground. I'm a
That's
sucker
fair.
for that.
All right, that was track 5, Beyond the Shattered Glass. What do we think?
I give that like a 7.25.
I'll give it an 8. I like that one a lot. That was much more in a style that I prefer, I guess. Not that I didn't like everything else, but I think I'm much more into this style than the last couple.
Yeah, I think overall as a song, this is the sound to go with. I think this was great out of the band from what other 4 songs I have reference to. And then it flowed very well. There were just some minor things I had a problem with. Overall, needs a mid bump again. That should fix all the guitar volume issues with the song, other than that last kind of bit of what I like to call guitar solo fade out, which is essentially the last verse or chorus. You just have one rhythm guitar track playing the actual rhythm part, and then the lead guy just soloing in the background. That could use a little bump. It was a tad bit quiet for how accent and good it was to the actual vocal track. It wasn't just mindless shredding. And then the actual vocal attack, I think is good. It's just coming from the wrong direction. It's an up into, or my bad, it's not an up into, it's a down from instead of an up into. So everything's kind of like whined in reverse instead of like, I mean, that is just whined instead of kind of pushed in like more metally. We're more emo instead of metal. And just truly everything else I've been shown has been more on that metal side.
Yeah, and I think mix-wise, this is the most solid we've seen of it. I don't know if it's because the backing track got bumped up a little bit or the vocals got turned down, or they kind of like met
I think somewhere in the middle there.
But it was solid. I think this is the closest to like a true sound for this band, which you have said twice, I think. But we ready for album art?
Album art time.
Album art time. I don't think it fits very much.
I'll give it
this.
like a 5.
So I'll give it 5.75 because it's
that knife is just like floating there.
the knife is float. I was trying to figure that part out.
I assume it's supposed to be like someone sitting in the chair and that's a knife in their back and we can't see that person. But I think personally this doesn't, yeah, I think you're right. It doesn't very much fit, especially with like the name of Death is an Open Door. Would have assumed an open door with like a skeleton hand peeking out or something like that would have been a good one. And then also just with like the style of music, I think it's not particularly on brand. This is more like Midwest emo-esque album art, I would think. And this is very clearly more of modern metal. And
I don't know how to explain it, but tilt the camera up so we can see the woods behind it. And then probably move the words to the bottom corner if you were to do that. I think with the picture now, the words are in the right place. But if you're going to tilt up, show the woods, maybe... I think it's missing some color, I think is the problem. I think it needs more greens and maybe some like yellows and oranges.
I don't mind the saturation on it. But yeah, I think the actual like chair itself is perfect. The grass just needs to come up a little bit.
Yeah. If you made it this far, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Leave us a comment with any other music, EPs, songs, albums that you want us to take a listen to. See you next week.
Bye!